Oh wow, this character creator is amazing. Not because of the million sliders for all kinds of facial details, those have become pretty standard. But look at the hair! Want it longer? Shorter? Want bangs with it? Want it more or less curly? This is hair porn! This is the most amazing character creator I've ever seen. I'm so down with this. The story is hot garbage though. So you are a Ronin in search of their sibling. Both of you were trained as Blade Twins, elite warriors for the rebellion against the Tokugawa shogunate, after your family got murdered by the shogun's soldiers. Now this doesn't sound bad at all, right? Just wait for it. It's the dawn of the Meiji Restoration and Japan is preparing for war and a revolution. Your clan operates in secret and is bound by rigid rules and traditions, a bit like a shinobi, but with more swordplay and less political intrigue. After a somewhat botched mission to steal some secret documents from an American black ship and assassinate Matthew Perry, your sibling gets supposedly killed and you have to retreat to your clan's hideout. And to be fair, this moment was fucking great. The whole first mission we were taught to rely on our Blade Twin, switch characters strategically. They were a valuable asset in any fight. Some of the mechanics around this concept were a bit gamey or outright goofy, but it still worked pretty darn well. And now, after they've proven their worth again, just a few moments ago during a boss fight, we now have to choose which one of them gets to continue with the mission, with the story and the game. And which one will be left behind to find a quick death. This was fucking amazing. The next thing though is not. So after some time has passed, the hideout gets attacked by more of the shogun's men and you fight your way through to your clan mother, who immediately attacks you because you try to leave the clan in search of your sibling, who may still be alive. But why? We were just attacked, our position is compromised, the village is burning, our people have been slaughtered. Now is the best time to leave, to gather information, search for new allies, regroup, think and wait for the right moment to lead an attack against the shogun. And that is certainly what this game is all about. But why am I being treated here as a traitor? I didn't even know that my character wanted to leave or knew his sister was alive. I'm hearing about this for the first time. I just woke up and got greeted by a kunai to the face. It's just unnecessary drama, which the game still could have had by just letting me fight side by side with the clan mother against overwhelming odds. Let her die and with her last breath order me to find my sister. And not have me kill her and weaken the clan, and by extension the rebellion even more. Yeah, don't know who came up with that, but after that the story lays low for a while. After this brief intro and tutorial section, we are let loose on the open world. Oh yeah, this is an open world Soulslike with a samurai setting. Think of it as Japanese Elden Ring. Wait, Elden Ring is already Japanese, god damn it. To be honest, this here is what I expected Ghost of Tsushima to be at first. From the first bits of revealed gameplay, it looked like a methodic, punishing and above all, brutal combat-focused game. And when I came to know that it was actually an open world, Ubisoft-inspired activity simulator, I was a bit disappointed. Not for long though. Ghost of Tsushima is among my favorite games and my favorite game worlds and open worlds. The combat is satisfying and complex, and a Souls-like design might have hurt the overall experience. Or maybe not, because now we have the open world Samurai Souls game. And it is made by the number 2 Souls developer Team Ninja, who have mastered their own flavor of this iconic game design philosophy bit by bit over the course of, by now, a bunch of different games in a bunch of different settings, from Nioh and Nioh 2, which most closely resemble this new game, to the Final Fantasy spin-off Stranger of Paradise, to Wo Long and now Rise of the Ronin. And there's even some of Ninja Gaiden's DNA left in this most recent release. Team Ninja's Souls combat is a bit faster than FromSoft's, a bit more flashy, a bit more flexible. It has its own restrictions, but those give it its own strong identity. And now this system is used to let us not just explore, but immerse ourselves in one of Japan's many dark, war-torn periods. A bloody civil war against the country's long-lasting military government, where monsters of myth are exchanged for monsters of man, bandits, soldiers or renegade samurai. This here is historical fiction and not fantasy, where you visit real places and meet up with historical figures. The game tries its best to stay grounded in reality. Mostly. Every game wants to be Breath of the Wild. With the more punishing and methodic combat, every fight is a struggle, where every dirty move that ensures your victory is not only allowed, but advised. And still, we get to bask in the beauty of this land. And same as with Ghost of Tsushima, the visual designers went all out with creating stunning imagery. Beautiful, high contrast colors, high density foliage, the air filled with little particles and flower petals, and the beauty of Mount Fuji in the background. This is once more a love letter to the beauty of Japan, and if you sacrifice a stable frame rate, it's even a little bit more beautiful. So my question for the developers is, why isn't there a dynamic HUD? No, I don't want to turn it off all the time and not know how much health or stamina I have left, or the amount of my resources or my opponent's stats. Though at least the last one can raise the tension and doesn't really affect my decision making that much. I can see from the animation if I've broken an enemy's stance, so that's good. And other than that, low health doesn't change their behavior, so it really doesn't change mine as well. But it would still be nice to see my own stats and resources. This is once again such a beautiful game to look at, but the ugly as fuck HUD ruins the aesthetic. Ghost of Tsushima nailed this a few years ago, and Elden Ring continued to do so a while later. And even Tears of the Kingdom did a mostly pretty good job. So why does this game fuck it up so badly? Show me my stats when I'm in combat or interact with the menus, and hide it all when I'm not. This isn't hard. Now, since this is an open world game, it comes with all the little features we've come to expect from this subset of games. We have basic resource gathering and crafting, smaller, unimaginative enemy encounters that don't really fit the core gameplay of a Soulslike. Seriously, Elden Ring managed to nail even that. FromSoft certainly are the kings of the subgenre they created. There are a bunch of points of interest on your map, mundane and tedious tasks and side activities, and of course, pointless running around. I'm joking with the last one, of course. Exploration is the major draw of these kinds of games, and in a world as beautiful as this one, it's all the more enjoyable. Sadly, the open world design doesn't always accommodate the core gameplay. Your handy grappling hook doesn't have many points to hook onto in the wilderness, and even rather low ledges or hurdles can't be climbed over if it happens to be a natural structure and not human-made, like a box or crate or wall. It works at times, but it does not often enough for you to notice. Whenever you kill an enemy or complete a task, you earn XP, and contrary to other Souls-likes, you level up immediately after collecting enough XP. Killing enemies also rewards you with karma, and this resource functions more akin to other Souls-likes, in that you lose it on death and can reclaim it, and can only spend it at banners, this game's bonfires. At a banner, it gets converted into either skill points or, at higher levels, rare skill points needed to unlock certain skills. Leveling up raises your stats and also grants you regular skill points, so while there is still a punishment for dying in the form of karma loss, you still grow progressively stronger by just playing the game, so it's not as punishing as many of its contemporaries. But I believe that was the point. This here is supposed to be the approachable, the accessible Souls-like, pointed out by the fact that this here game starts with a difficulty mode selection. So all you fine people who always wanted an easy mode in Dark Souls, here you go. On that note, maybe me calling this a Souls-like isn't entirely correct. Don't get me wrong, there is a lot of Team Ninja's previous Souls-likes design in here, but unlike Elden Ring, the open world, maybe in combination with the more grounded setting, took a lot of bite out of this gameplay style. So I'd argue calling it a Souls-light would be more appropriate. Dying isn't as punishing. Approaching or retreating from enemies is a lot easier and offers more options. Same with maneuvering around enemies during a fight. Support items are plentiful, attacks powerful, your stamina sheer everlasting. There are still the more linear missions that play closer to traditional Souls games, but even those hold back with the sadism. And I'm totally fine with that. This here isn't the most brutal challenge you need to fail and fail again until you finally taste the bitter satisfaction of overcoming overwhelming odds after being humbled 1 or 2 or 50 times. The game wants you to enjoy itself. The Ronin is proficient in many fighting styles and the silent arts of assassination. The game offers basic sneak mechanics paired with instant kills that you know from many Ubi games, and of course, the good old ledge assassinations in different flavors. You get access to powerful rifles and bows to dispatch of enemies before the fighting starts, and a lot of throwables to quickly use during a melee fight. There's also a bunch of different melee weapons with their own benefits and drawbacks and movesets and special abilities, so you can pick and choose what suits you best. Your grappling hook, mostly used for traversal, can be used to grab objects in the environment and throw them at enemies, or grab enemies and throw them off balance. But careful, they can lean into the pole and use this against you. The parry system in this game is somewhat unique in that parrying here isn't a defensive maneuver, but an offensive one. You don't block at the right moment or use a secondary block that might still soften the blow even if the timing is off. Here it is an offensive move. You attack the attack. I say it's somewhat unique because Bloodborne had a similar system, but here it has a bit more versatility. Parrying an attack avoids damage and might cause your enemy to panic, depleting their stamina and opening them up for a critical strike. Parrying a projectile, though, sets your weapon on fire, so you can in turn set anyone you strike on fire. The combat feels awesome and looks flashy. There's lots of blood and maiming going on. Heads and arms flying around, if you so desire. It's brutal and gritty, just how I like it. A Kurosawa mode for this game would be very welcome. Overall, I really like this game so far. I mean, there are a lot of little missteps with the HUD, for example, or the general design of the UI. Maybe that's the problem, maybe the UI designers weren't in on the vision, because the menus are incredibly unintuitive. There are too many sub-menus, it's not easy to find what you need. My XP and Karma are listed in the Equipment tab and not the Stat tab, where I use my points to upgrade my character. Then there is an auto-run system in addition to the fast travel system for some reason, but this one has an awkwardly inefficient pathfinding and you bump into stuff and NPCs a lot. You're a menace. But then there are all the great elements of this game. The game world is sufficiently big and detailed without being overladen with needless filler. It's mostly the beauty of the outdoors, but here and there we stumble across small farms and homesteads, a few villages, shrines and temples. The shockingly modern town of Yokohama, with gas lanterns lining the road leading up to it and a lot of Western-style buildings. While the interactions in this game world aren't that much to talk about, the exploration still feels rewarding, at least to me, with my endless adoration for this country. I mean, when I ran down the street towards the Cantebio Mausoleum, I actually recognized the area. I've been there. This still exists. This is so amazing. And there actually is an in-game reason to visit all those places and get familiar with all the different areas. This game leans more into leaving your mark on the world in more ways than one. During dialogues you can sometimes affect later events by choosing different responses. And this also lets you grow closer to your allies. You can choose to let characters live or kill them on the spot. Then there's your bond with the people of the land. By getting to know the land, simply by exploring and finding points of interest, and by completing tasks and helping those in need, you raise your bond with the locals, which further opens up more possibilities, and it rewards you with all kinds of useful things, in addition to all the rewards you get from just undertaking quests and looting enemy corpses and stashes. And then there's of course the beautiful game world, the versatile combat system, the hairstyle creator. Even something as simple as leveling up and distributing skill points got an intriguing new spin. To raise your stats even further after leveling up, you need to expend skill points on skills tied to that stat. So by learning more sword attacks or stances, your strength increases. By learning flourishes, subterfuge or the ability to lie, you raise your charisma. And I kinda like this approach, where abilities determine your stat growth and not the other way around. And there really are a lot of skills that change up the gameplay in many ways. And many of those aren't just minor increases to the many numbers you need to juggle. The skills are here to offer complexity, not just increases. That's what the equipment system is here for. Yeah, you'll find a lot of the same equipment pieces, just with different numbers attached to it. And you have to swap gear all the time. It kinda resembles a looter shooter at times. Sadly, this discourages from role-playing or cosplaying in the samurai fantasy. And that's such a shame, because they even went out of their way to include different footstep sounds, depending on what shoes you're wearing. And you would take your shoes off while you're indoors. Such attention to detail. Wasted. Ghost of Tsushima nailed this in not having too many variables when it came to your equipment. Armor sets broadly offered the same benefits when it came to defense, and only differed in their special effects. And things like hats or headbands or masks didn't affect gameplay at all. So you could just equip the attire you liked best and enjoyed the great visuals. That's not really possible here, and it's sad because the outfits in this game all look great, especially for someone like me who really likes the traditional Japanese aesthetic. And the game is drenched into this almost modern yet still feudal Japanese aesthetic. Only the visuals though. Where Ghost of Tsushima embraced the Japanese culture and traditions, this game here just looks amazing. Don't expect too many interactions with the Japanese culture. You won't write haikus or anything like that, like in Ghost of Tsushima. Though there is an encyclopedia with all kinds of entries about important persons or places of the time. So there's that. But aside from that, in this game you just travel to places and kill dudes. And abuse animals. One of the recurring activities has you finding cats, which you can then pet. And the Ronin thinks that petting means straight up just grabbing and picking them up. Poor things. He even picks the eggs straight out of hands. Poor things. So yeah, a great game. Not entirely what I expected, closer to what I expected Ghost of Tsushima to be at first, but yeah, I like it a lot. At least so far. Not more than Ghost of Tsushima, but it's a close second in this rather small category. Make of that what you want. And with that, I'm off. Have an awesome day. This has been Rady, and I hope to see you again on the next game.